Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show, where we get to the heart of why you overeat and how to stop. If you struggle with food and weight like I did, welcome home.
Welcome everybody to the Heal Your Hunger Show. So happy to have you here. It is a great day to be alive, and you are going to absolutely fall in love with my guest today. She's so beautiful and wonderful and will make you feel so good all over. Don't you want to keep listening? So a couple things. First of all, my TEDx talk blew right past 1 million views. So check it out. Go to YouTube and type in Tricia Nelson, emotional eating. So you'll find that. And it's, it ain't a bad talk. What can I say? So if you haven't listened to it yet, please do. Also, if you haven't taken the quiz on my website, this is a awesome quiz, which will help you understand whether you're an emotional eater or a food addict or somewhere in between. It's on the front page of my website, homepage. Go to healyourhunger.com, take the quiz, find out where you are on the emotional eating spectrum. Find out what your personalized score is to kind of see where you stand. Emotional eating is a continuum. On the low end of is emotional eating. On the high end is food addiction. Different prescriptions for where you are on that spectrum. So find out and get geared up for a solution that'll help you change your life and your relationship with food. Also, if you are not yet in the Secret Sauce group on Facebook, join us there. It's called the Secret Sauce to End Emotional Eating. Request to join. It's a private Facebook group, and that's where you hear my interviews. That's where you learn about all the things I have coming up. It's a great way to stay connected with other emotional eaters, because we have to have our people. Other people look at us like we have two heads when we try to eat more than we should be eating, or if people tell us to just moderate or just eat one, and we're like, you don't get it. I don't know how to do that. So we get you. We understand. We can't eat just one either. So go to the Secret Sauce group, be among your people who get what it's like to be powerless over one cookie. So yeah, we'd love to have you. And I'm super excited, as I said, about today's guest. Her name is Jane Hogan. She's such a beautiful, just a beautiful, gentle soul. She's known as the wellness engineer because she blends leading edge science and ancient spiritual practices to help people release chronic pain using the mind, body, and breath, so they can become empowered creators of their own health. And we're literally going to do this on the show. Right during the show, you're going to feel better already. So her personal experience of reversing crippling rheumatoid arthritis using natural solutions inspired her to leave a 30-year engineering career and become a functional medicine certified health coach, certified yoga teacher, and wellness educator. You will absolutely love her. She has her own show called the Wellness by Design podcast, Wellness by Design, if you want to check her out. So on with the show. Hey, Jane, so happy to have you here. Thank you for being a guest on the Heal Your Hunger Show.
Oh, Tricia, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Me too. And we've been in each other's orbit for a while, but never truly connected. And so I'm so glad when a mutual friend of ours got us together, because this is just very much synergistic for us. I think both of us and our audiences.
I think so. Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's do this.
Okay. So cool. So emotional eaters emotionally eat, and then we gain weight, and then we feel crappy. And part of why we feel crappy is because when we carry excess weight, which I did for years, then our bodies start to ache. We get all kinds of aches and pains. We get all kinds of physical symptoms from eating unhealthy foods, processed foods, sugar, and then the weight itself that our body is lugging around. So if you're listening to this, and you're like, This is a good show for you to be listening to. Glad you're tuning in. So can we talk about, you're an incredible expert on pain in your body and very natural, holistic ways to address that. So can you talk a little bit about, the women who come to you, and what are some of the aches and pains they're coming to you with?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people come to me because of joint pain. And I think this is one thing that drives me crazy, Tricia, is that people think that because they're getting older, that joint pain is inevitable. Oh, that's normal. Oh, it's normal. It's yeah,
Oh,
you just gotta learn to live with that. And it's so not true. You
yeah.
do not have to learn to live with pain. And also, the other thing is people are so used to just covering it up, right? Like popping some pills or, or maybe, more to get rid of the pain. And really, that's not necessary either. I think
Yeah.
if just the reframing of pain, it's seeing it in a different light as not really something to be covered up and hidden, but that it's your body's way of talking and saying, help me, please help me. I need some help.
Totally. And so and that's what I love about you is you're all about tuning in and really, we share the passion for self-care, and really starting to pay attention to our bodies. So I love that about you. So, can we talk a little bit? I just want to make sure we cover kind of how this became your passion.
Well, my own pain story. So I was, going through life, things were going pretty good. And then I had a really stressful year. I lost my mother and there's a whole lot of other stuff. And then I ended up getting joint pain and was so bad so quickly that I was nearly disabled. And it was later diagnosed as rheumatoid arthritis. But before I knew that, I had started, my doctor actually told me that some foods are inflammatory. Common foods are inflammatory or cause inflammation in the body. So gluten, dairy, sugar were kind of the main ones. And so I cut them cold turkey. I had a big reduction in pain right away. And that led me down a whole road and like peeling back the layers of, okay, what next? So food kind of took me so far, but then I realized there was a lot of emotional stuff going on. And I imagine, for people that are overeaters, there's emotional stuff going on too, right? And it's
Totally.
probably that these two are connected, right? The things about me, I didn't have like I wasn't overweight. I was never really overweight, but I had emotional things hovering in the background that led to behaviors that then resulted in my body beginning to talk to me and ask for my help.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's a powerful story. So thank you. And yeah, I think you just probably hit some nerves with people who have similar stories. Okay. So back to paying attention and tuning into our bodies. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Mm-hmm. So as I said earlier, like pain really isn't the problem. Pain is, I see it now as a gift in unusual packaging. Yes.
Yeah, that's
It's
a
not
great
really,
reframe. People are like, what?
not
It
really
doesn't feel like a gift.
no, I didn't really think it was a gift when I was going through it either. If anyone had said that to me at the time, I would have been like, please be quiet. I just want this
Yeah.
pain to go away. And that's the truth. Like when we're in pain, all we want is that pain to go away because it can get so bad. We start to wonder, are we going to be able to live our life and do the things that we want to do? You just mentioned you were skiing. I ski as well. I was looking at, I'm never going to be able to ski again. And then maybe I'll have to sell my house because I can't even walk the stairs. All of these things. And when this happens too, we get fear, right? And that fear pain cycle starts going around in our brain, and then it creates more pain.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it can even be learned pain. Like our brain is just such a great learner, right? That we can teach it how to feel pain really well when we start adding fear to it as well. So the main thing is we want to start creating an environment of peace in our mind and in our body.
I love
And
that.
in that
Love
state,
word.
yeah, in that state, we can begin healing. And actually, unless we're in that state, we can't begin healing. You just
And
can't.
so you can have peace while still having pain.
You can have peace and still have pain but the more you can get yourself into that state of peace, the body heals, right? The body heals and the pain can go away. Also, the opposite is true. When we're in fear state, I mean, it's kind of like people aren't saying I'm in fear, but stressed, right? That is fear. So when you're in that state, you can't heal because your body thinks, I might have to run for my life or fight or whatever. It's not really concerned about being well and healing and
Yeah.
digesting food. A lot of inflammation elsewhere in the body begins in the gut. And so if we're not digesting food well, then that can cause inflammation, as I'm sure you know, and you probably talk about that. All this part of our immune, about 70% of our immune system resides in the gut. And so if that starts getting triggered, then we can have pain anywhere in the body. That kind of blew my mind in the beginning. What? Gut
Yeah.
and then joint pain? How are they related?
Oh
But
my
they are.
gosh. Yeah, and so many people are eating unhealthy foods that are inflammatory, and then they're noticing pains in their body and not realizing how connected they are.
Definitely connected.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's other things you could do. So what I love to teach people is how to create some peace, how to send, instead of sort of hating on the part of your body that's causing pain, instead feel love and compassion for it, like it was a small child or a pet that needed some loving attention. You wouldn't take a small child and say, stop, be quiet, right? You would hug it and say, I love you, it's going to be okay, I'm here for you, that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
that's the same kind of feeling and loving attention we want to get to parts of our body that are, well, they're calling our attention, right? Like a child that's been hurt. So we want to give it that loving attention.
Yeah, I love that. So what are some techniques you typically recommend to people, and like more specifics of how to love on our bodies?
hmm well, it starts with loving yourself, and awareness. So I know that you talk about this a lot too, being aware of what you're thinking, aware of how you are, your little voice in your head. How are you talking to yourself? So start sort of paying attention to that. And would you speak to your best friend like that? Right? So that goes a long way, because we have to love. If we're not loving ourselves, then we're that message gets to our cells. Let's just accept the fact our cells are listening to everything. They have receptors on the surface of the cells. They pick up on vibrations, and emotions are vibrations, and our emotions and feelings come from our thoughts. So really
Yeah.
have to be aware of the thoughts and start switching them around. I mean, affirmations, I'm a big, strong believer in affirmations, looking in the
Yeah.
mirror, looking at yourself and loving yourself, saying kind things to yourself, being your own champion, your own best friend, be the one that's rooting for you. So speaking affirmations to yourself in a loving way, I'm a big fan of that kind of work.
Yes, absolutely. And do you, just kind of going on down that road, do you do affirmations in the morning? Do you have things you read or things that you like do every day that are the same? I'm kind of curious, because I do have certain affirmations that I say every day.
I do. Well, I think the mornings are, you've got to start your day off well, because how you start your day affects the rest of your day. So
Yeah.
I love starting the morning. I have like a 5-part morning routine, but then it can be as simple as, I like these 3 are really simple, that you have one part where you're doing mindfulness. So that might just be breathing. Quite like just the time when you're like shutting your thoughts down and not racing. So time for mindfulness, it might be meditation, it might be just breath work, focusing on how your breath sounds. And then movement, so doing some kind of movement. And then the other part is mindset. So that's like the affirmations or visualizations. So if you just think of those 3 M's, mindfulness, movement, and mindset,
I
and then
love that.
you can make them like 2 minutes each, 1 minute each, 15 minutes each, whatever you can fit into your schedule. But just do those every day to kind of set you up for the day. Yeah.
I love that. And if you're tuning in, stay tuned, because in a few minutes, she's going to guide us. Jane is going to guide us in a mindfulness activity. So a little teaser there. Okay, so cool. I like that. And I totally, I teach my clients to have a morning routine where they can get still and quiet and centered, because, and I call it putting money in your spiritual bank account that
Love
you can
that.
take withdrawals on throughout the day. Because if you haven't like put anything in there, then you're looking for chocolate and coffee to get you through, right? It's like you got to make those deposits so you have something something healthy to take withdrawals from, to keep you going throughout the day. Otherwise, we're resorting to things that aren't healthy. So that morning routine, I couldn't live without it. I absolutely couldn't do without it. Like, you don't want to know me if I haven't done my morning routine.
I love it too. And, if you have a bit more time, you could do some journaling or add in like reading something, but I'd like to make the barrier, like, let's make this as low as possible. Just do something, have that morning routine. And I love your analogy of the bucket, because it is so true. If we're already starting the day off stressed, when we're in a stressed state, we lose our cognitive thinking, right? And then we start moving into the other part of our brain, which is like, eat the whole sleeve of cookies instead of making a sensible decision about choosing what you're going to have, right? Exactly. So it's just, it makes you think better, you feel more peaceful, just sets you up for the day.
Love it. Now, for those who are on medications for pain, where would they begin? Like, how would they, like, they're already dependent on these medications, it gets them by, they're kind of, muddling through, limping through life, trying to just patch up, the pain points. But how would they transition to a healthier, more holistic way of feeling good in their bodies?
First of all, work with your doctor. Don't like go off meds. There's often a taper that you would need. So yes, work with your doctor. But I would say within where you can work within the prescription that you have, try to, like, I'm going to teach you this technique. Try this technique. Try other, like, mindfulness, sitting still, meditation. When I was at like really in bad pain, I would think, okay, if I could just sit, when I sat still, I didn't have too much pain. I could just like sit still, notice my breathing. I'd listen to a meditation or something. And then I'd think, okay, if I could get a few minutes and I don't feel anything, I felt like it was a little pearl. And then I thought, if I could just like do that more throughout the day, then like I'd be making eventually a whole pearl necklace. And so that's what I try to do, just like little bits at a time of just sitting there. And even if I was feeling pain, not feeling judgment about the pain, so that, that it's like, it's mindfulness, right? It's just instead of being in it and in the emotion of it, just be the observer, like, oh, I'm noticing I've got that sensation here going on right now, and that's interesting. And maybe, it's feeling a little bit throbbing, or maybe it's stabbing, or, kind of like being the observer of it instead of in it. And that creates like a little bit of space and distance. And it also helps the mind not get caught up in the fear that I talked about earlier.
Oh,
right?
I love that.
Yeah. So those techniques, like just trying to notice and be grateful for the times when you don't feel it, or noticing and being grateful for any little progress that you're making. It's really, it's interesting. When you get out of pain, you forget how much pain you had. And so you sort of forget to be thankful for it, right? But gratitude, of course, puts us in that healing state, the parasympathetic state that should be our normal state. So feeling grateful for any progress that you have, or even I've had a client with rheumatoid arthritis, and her hands were, swollen and stuff like that. And we had this conversation, and afterwards she was, one thing I said is, there's the people without hands that would be happy to have your hands.
Oh my gosh,
true,
so
right?
true. Yes.
So no matter where you are, you can still be grateful for what you do have, right? If you're alive, you've got the breath, you've got, if you can see, you've got.
And I love that, because you can really lift yourself out of really stinking thinking quickly when you have gratitude, and it is such an incredible state changer. It's so true. My mentor used to say to me when I was complaining, he used to say, let's go down to the county jail and tell them how bad you have it. I'm like, oh, good point. Like, I'm free. I'm not behind bars. I can get up and get in my car and go places. So I
Yeah.
used to love it when he said that. I mean, I hated it when he said it, honestly, but I got his point and it was
You knew
helpful.
it was true.
There's
Yeah.
always something to be grateful for.
Yes, and that sort of brings me to like even thinking about a bedtime routine, right? Thinking
Mm,
about, I mean, it's so cliche and everyone talks about it, but it works to think about what you're grateful for before you go to sleep, and then you sleep better, and you're uplifted right away. And I have a practice of trying to remember three things that happened during the day that I'm grateful for, and I almost never stop at three, like because you start getting on a roll, like oh my gosh, and
right.
that and that, and it also makes you kind of remember your day, like remember this life that we're in and experiencing, right?
Yes. Oh my
So,
gosh, so much to be grateful for. And it changes your mind so quickly. So I love that. And going to bed with the right frame of mind, and that'll help you. If you wake up in the middle of the night, it'll help you, sort of not like I find if I dwell on anything negative before I go to bed, then if I wake up to go to the bathroom, that stuff comes right back to me. So it's sort of like what you go to bed with is what you wake up with, whether it's in the middle of the night or the next morning.
yeah, great. So let's make sure they're good thoughts.
Yeah, for sure. So this is beautiful. I love this conversation. This is good for anybody, even if they're not in pain. It's just for your mental health, overall. Do you still have rheumatoid arthritis?
Uh, I don't have pain. I don't have,
You don't know.
I mean, I don't think I do, but I mean, I manage it, I guess is the thing to say. Like if I have to keep my stress within acceptable levels. If I start getting stressed, I'll start to notice, oh, right. I'm very careful about the food that I eat.
Yeah.
I just don't eat much junk food. I think of the food that I'm putting in my body as like, it's got to be worthy of me.
Amen. Ooh, I love that. That's so beautiful. Are
Yeah,
these
I'm
tips worthy of me in my queendom?
You're so funny. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's not to say that I never have,
Of
something.
course. You slip up now and then.
Yeah, or I make a conscious decision. I've got an 86-year-old neighbor. She invited us over for her birthday cake. It had gluten, it had sugar, but I thought she's 86. What am I going to say?
Yeah, you want to
I don't
celebrate
want to.
her.
And so I made a choice though, right? I made a choice to do that and celebrate with her. And and if I do, if I do have something that, maybe is a food that's I shouldn't have, I still try to feel good about it, because how you feel about your food affects you. It affects how
Yeah.
you digest the food. There's a lot of power in our thoughts. Our subconscious mind is listening all the time. It just takes, okay, whatever you give it, whatever you input in there, it just takes. So you can still say, I'm enjoying this. My body's going to be fine with it. So I speak like that as well.
I love that. That's so loving. And, mean, hateful thoughts are not going to make the situation better.
No.
Wow, this is beautiful. And I love that you couldn't remember, weren't quite sure if you have arthritis or not. Like that's gotta be inspirational for the women listening who are hurting right now. It's like, holy crap, what if I felt so good? I didn't know whether it was there or not. So that's something to be looking forward to. So can we jump into this beautiful little kind of practicum you have for us?
I'd love to. I'd love to. Okay. So, Trisha, do you have any pain anywhere?
Um, by the grace of God, no.
Okay. All right. So for you, just pick
I mean,
some
I will
areas.
say I ate something earlier that I don't think is agreeing with me, and it's not to the level of a pain, but I don't feel as great as I could feel. I sort of
Okay.
think,
So,
oh, that was there's a little bit of soy in it. I don't know. I don't think it worked for me.
so let's just say that's an area that's talking to you right now,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so anyone that's listening, if you have an area in your body that's talking to you with pain, just take that area now and just give that pain or whatever the negative thing that you're experiencing a rating out of 10.
Okay. 10
Okay.
being the highest.
10 being the highest, like 0 being nothing at all, 10 being the highest.
Okay.
whatever. So wherever you are on that scale, it's just like a little idea, and we're just going to see how you do afterwards.
Okay.
Okay, so put that aside now and just gently close down your eyes, and we'll just get kind of relaxed and notice what you're sitting on. Notice the support that you have. Notice where you're touching the chair or the surface. Notice where your feet are touching. Notice your breathing. Maybe even as you breathe now, you'll notice that it's slowing down a little bit. And now I'd like you to take your attention to this area that was calling to you. You may even want to touch it with your hands, but you don't have to. But imagine that it is like a small child, and it's been calling you because it needs your help. Imagine that you are hugging it, hugging this area from the inside, feeling love and compassion. And imagine that you're breathing with your breath into that area. As you inhale, you're bringing in more love and compassion. Exhale again. Imagine when you breathe, you're just breathing right in through the skin in that area, breathing in love and compassion, hugging, and then exhaling. Continue breathing this way and say, I love you. I've got you now. I'm listening. And I'm here for you. You can even imagine that the breath is like white healing light. And you're breathing this in, filling that area with white, healing, loving light. I've got you. I love you. I'm listening. I'm here for you. Give this area one last hug. Let it know that you are here, you are listening. And if it needs you again, you're here. Now, when you're ready, you can slowly and gently open your eyes. And come back to this space.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Jane. That was so peaceful.
Tricia, notice this area now and give it a rating out of 10 again. So, and the audience too, where whatever you were before, just like notice it again now and give it a number out of 10. And notice if there's been an improvement.
100%. I mean, I don't know if it's 100% improvement, but I'm
What's the
agreeing with
math?
you.
I'm an engineer. I can do the math.
So I went from like a 4 because it wasn't terrible, to probably a 2 or 1.5. And well, I guess that is 100%. So, but basically, but what I love about that, Jane, it was such a good experience for me, is because I've never noticed this before. This conversation we're having has brought me to this. Part of it was that I was mad at myself for eating this product, this soy product. And part of my inner dialogue that I wasn't aware of is I shouldn't have tried that. Like, I shouldn't have eaten that. Like, really, like, why don't you just stick with the salad? Like, so there's that self-condemnation, and that fuels feeling bad.
Yeah.
And this loving conversation we just had, this beautiful affirmation of love and, treating our sweet baby daughter with so much tenderness, that took away that negative voice of, blaming myself for putting myself in a position to have hurt, or been uncomfortable. And so then and that helped lessen the uncomfortableness. Again, it's not exactly pain, but it lessened that yucky feeling I was having.
I do this with groups of people, and always I'm amazed at, I am amazed, but then I'm not amazed at how it reduces. Like, some people will say the pain is gone. Some people will say it's, dropped from, like, a 4 to a 2, like you said, or a 6 to a 5, even if it's a 6 to a 5, like, just imagine, just with your thoughts and focused loving attention, you can lower pain.
Yes. Oh my God. That was
It's
so
amazing.
beautiful. And your voice is so wonderful and soothing. Like, I really like that. So those who are listening, save this episode and go back to it and listen to Jane, and also follow Jane. So Jane, how do people access more of you?
Thank you for asking. That's so sweet. My website is thewellnessengineer.com, and I've got a free audio bundle people can download there with some affirmations and a guided meditation and a heart-focused breathing. And so I'm on Facebook and Instagram and different places. You can look me up as The Wellness Engineer or Jane Hogan Health. Either one of those should find me. And I love to do daily reels, little videos with little tips on how to become pain-free using the mind and the body and the breath.
Wow. And we just experienced it real time. So thank you so much, Jane. That was really beautiful. I really appreciate you, and I love your message, and I love connecting with you. So everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. This has been a powerful show. And as you know, I have only the best of the best guests come and share their wisdom. So please come back for more soon. We love you, and we're here for you. Thanks, Jane. Oh, I have one more question. I forgot. My final question for my guests is always, this being the Heal Your Hunger show, what is your deepest hunger?
My deepest hunger. Oh my goodness. I would say does it have to be food?
No. I really am talking about the hunger under the hunger.
Oh, good. Okay. I think the deepest hunger is probably the same with a lot of people. It's just to be cherished, to be loved and cherished.
I love that. So beautiful. And you deserve that.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We love you. And thanks, Jane. You're beautiful.
If you enjoyed this podcast and want to get free support, insider health info, exclusive invites to events, and more, visit healyourhunger.com.